Time now for Oh Canada, Oh Baby! Here's the squad for Canada at the upcoming Canadian Shield. Silence, crickets. Where Canada will face Ukraine and Ivory Coast at the beginning of June from Midfield in Toronto. Now, there's no Alphonso Davies, no Moise Bombito, no Alistair Johnston either, but Johnston is expected to play at the Gold Cup. Eustachio, Buchanan, and Jonathan David are included, but their Gold Cup status remain in doubt due to transfers, and of course Eustachio at the Club World Cup. Now, plenty to ponder when it comes to this Canada team. This is a regular segment on the show, one of many Canadian content productions who just talk about the Canadian men's national team on a regular basis. So here we go. After disappointment at the CONCACAF Nations League, I should say, what kind of tests are these two matches for a Canada side without Davies, Johnston, and Bombito across the back four, John?
Depth test for these guys to figure out who can come in, who can fill in if there's injuries to those players when we get to the World Cup in 26. I think there's a big test for those guys. I think there's a big test for some other players too, including in goal. I mean, I think with Crepeau playing recently, does he get a look? Does he get a couple games before the Gold Cup? You would expect going into the Gold Cup that, Dane St. Clair would be the #1 guy. But with these games beforehand, give Crepeau a run and let him see how he does and get him back into the groove.
I just look at this being a significant challenge, these two games. Ukraine are missing Mikolenko, Yarmouk, Dobnik up front, but they're still a well-organized, tough team that plays very good European competition. Ivory Coast have dynamic attacking players. I just find that Canada's success has come, and the team is very balanced and very good, but I think the back four has been so reliable for Jesse Marsh. The way that they press, the way that they drive the team forward, the way that they attack through their defending almost at times, that these three players are a considerable miss. And you look at the players that are potentially replacing them, there's a drop-off there, Jordan, that's undeniable. And that could change the entire way that Canada goes out to play.
Copa America, Alistair Johnston was in the 11 player of the tournament because of how aggressive he was. Moise Bombito.
Every single minute he's played under Jesse Marsh.
He's the Iron Man, but there's no one that can play the way that he plays. You have a Kamal Miller, quickly I'll say, John. You have a Kamal Miller that played all these minutes, also at the World Cup, that can't even fit into Jesse Marsh's style because you have to be on the front foot. You have to make sure that you put yourself into vulnerable positions and win those duels. And now you have him out of the squad. I mean, it's going to be a tough uphill battle for Canada. Obviously, there's quality within the side, but to play Marsh's system is not easy.
Not easy at all, and those guys in the back are going to be forced to be 1v1 a lot of times. And that's where those other guys are so good. 1v1, they snuff stuff out, and it's done and dusted. Now with this group, you're going to have to really test them to see how they do. Some tough opponents. Ivory Coast, African teams usually come in, they got a lot of pace and move the ball and get forward quickly. And how's that going to affect how they play?
Adringa, Ahmed Diallo, Haller, Sangare. There's top players here playing for big clubs coming off very good seasons as well. So, Fougerolles, Knight LaBelle, obviously Larea. I'm not sure if Larea can play. He's just returning from an injury. Toronto FC can't be thrilled about this inclusion.
Yeah.
Waterman and CF Montreal is coming off a campaign.
Regardless of who it is, it's going to be tough.
But who has the opportunity to step up and earn the faith, earn the trust of Jesse Marsh?
Maybe Waterman. Is a diffusion role. I know we've been raving about him for a while, but again, it's just a unique opportunity to step into that role. And honestly, as a defender, you're taught to get people around you, to make sure that you're not isolated, but not in Marsh's system. It's really high pressing. It's okay to make a mistake, but make it high up the pitch. But now you're playing teams like Ukraine, Ivory Coast that will burn you if you do that. So I'm curious to see who takes that role for Bombito specifically, because if it's the Fisher role, if it's Waterman, do they have the pace and physique that Bombito has? They don't. Yeah. But do they tweak it in a way that modifies the game and plays to their advantage? I hope so. But either way, Jesse Marsh is going to have questions because we all know he's not going to change that system just for his defenders.
No.
So they have to adapt to the way he wants to play, and I know that's not easy as a defender.
Yeah, it's just an area that they look rather thin. What about the midfield? Is there opportunity there? Would you like to see a different makeup? Especially Eustachio, at least during the Gold Cup version. I mean, he's going to at least play in the Cup World Cup with Porto, and we'll see how that goes for him and his club at that time. But, I mean, Kone hasn't been in a good place, but now he's coming off a really strong end to the season. Perhaps there's more of an opportunity for him to shift back in and reestablish his spot. Is he the guy to look out for, or is there someone else in the midfield?
No, that's how I'm looking out for specifically, just because, as you mentioned, Wheels, coming off the end of his season, getting back in with Canada, 2 critical games to lead into the Gold Cup. Can he re-solidify himself as a guy that they can rely on for all the games going forward leading up to the World Cup?
I know it's not going great right now for this particular player just because of club football and how things are moving, but in terms of potential, and when you're thinking about 2026, and you think about a 2-man midfield, maybe it's a 3 at the time, but right now for Jesse Marsh, for me, argue it is a 2-man midfield. You need someone with legs. You need someone that could cover ground. I mean, one name that sticks out to me is Saliba. Yeah. He could be a guy, I'm looking at this Shield and also Gold Cup, to play substantial minutes, but not to be given those minutes, to earn them, because I think he has the quality to do it. But now you're thinking, who is going to be the partner with Eustachio? And if Eustachio's not playing, who's going to be someone that can control the tempo in the midfield? And there are some options and some names that Jesse Marsh can pull.
What about other names? I mean, the wide areas, I think there's some debate on what those roles can look like, or potential players that can come in and really compete for positions. Up top, I know that most people want to see Promise David, Daniel Jebison get a longer look as well. And again, if Jonathan David's club situation in terms of signing for his next club, if that hasn't crossed or gone over the line, then he's a player that may be on the outside looking in as well. So what's the name of a player or two, John, that's really on your radar?
I got one spotlighted, Jaden Nelson. For me, this is a big opportunity for him. I think, you know, Jesse Marsh looks at him, looks at his profile, his pace, his ability to run out, step out the guys, and then when he gets on the ball, be able to dribble, create opportunities going forward. The only knock I would say for Jaden Nelson is he needs to be able to stay concentrated and engaged for a full 90 minutes. You know, defensively, he's going to be asked to do some things, not only just step out and press, but get back in a position and help his team out. He needs to be able to do that and be able to stay engaged for all that. And also, I think he really needs to not get involved with sort of the shenanigans that happen during games. Sometimes he gets a little bit too emotional, and he lets that override some of his better performances because he gets involved with, you know, players on the other team, with the referee, and I think that's one thing that he can control. And if he does that well, I think he's got a real good opportunity because, as I said, the profile, the pace, the ability to sprint out in the press causes havoc, and Jesse loves that type of stuff.
Trying to understand in the football world, like to say someone deserves something, I mean, that's up for discussion or up for debate. But in terms of like him being in that moment, he's there right now. The only question I would say, if he is watching this, is how he is defensively and where to be. Because you look at someone similar to him that's at Vancouver Whitecaps, Ali Ahmed, like he literally stays in a spot and just runs. I know Jaden Nelson's game, he likes to take on players, which will be needed. But how disciplined you are defensively is how you win over Jesse Marsh's heart. So we'll see how he lands, but I do agree. He deserves that spot.
All right. Jesse Marsh did some media availability this week. He addressed Alphonso Davies' controversial injury issues, as well as a potential off-field role during this summer's Gold Cup. Here's what Marsh had to say.
Yeah, we've had some good discussions. And, you know, I think we've cleared up a lot of things about, you know, how things went down. And I know Alfonso's initial disappointment, I think, was a dominating feature in a lot of the things that happened, you know, with Bayern, with him, with his agent, with everything, right? It was hard for him to deal and accept with the injury, but his mindset now is positive. He's working really hard. He just got rid of the crutches. And now he's on a really good trajectory to get back. We know what an insane athlete he is. I have left the door open with him to have any kind of impact and effect that he wants to have on the team this summer. Everything from being around the team to sending messages to any kind of communication to keep himself engaged as the leader of this team.
I want to get your takeaways of those comments because they were very weird to me. I don't know if it's just me and what I listen for, because I've been doing this for years and I try to pick up on things. But Marsh saying and basically blaming in a roundabout way what happened with Davies' agent and with Bayern Munich after on Davies' disappointment at his injury seemed a little bit awkward, because we haven't heard that from Alphonso Davies. And then now questioning and giving the opportunity for Alphonso to play some kind of role at this summer, I think just by saying that now creates expectation for Alphonso Davies, who's in his summer, who should be focusing on recovery, to now play a role from afar or something. And now it puts the pressure on Davies to do something. Am I reading too much into this? Does any of that seem weird to you? I don't know.
I don't think you're reading too much into it. I think for me, it's context. For example, if Alphonso Davies says to Jesse Marsh, hey, I know I'm injured, obviously I can't play, but like I want to be around the boys, that changes everything. Marsh saying, I've opened it up for him to come into camp and to be around the boys is totally different context for me, John. So I don't know which one is which. I don't know which one has happened, because we're only going off of Marsh's words, but they definitely changed the context of the situation.
I think it's an interesting move by Jesse, because I think what he does is initially he says, you know, the agent and him, and he takes some responsibility and causing conflict, but then he flips it and says, well, now you have a chance to, let's see if you want to come in and help us out. It's on you. It's, you know, we put it on your plate, and it's your decision about how you want to go forward. And it's, if you're a leader, do you come in? And, you know, it's a real interesting play by Jesse to do that, because I think he felt like they dished a lot onto him with the injury and the drama around Bayern Munich, and now he's trying to, I think, maybe dish it back and say, hey, this is on you now, fella. You should come in, help this team out, because you're the leader of this team.
You guys have both been around professional club teams. Players that are injured often feel isolated and feel more comfortable just being away from the process that's playing out at that time. The players want to be there to support their teammates and cheer them on. That's one thing. But playing a leadership role at a time that you're injured is something that you don't typically see.
I agree with that, Wheels. It's also the timeline and the information that we're getting as a media. Like it felt like just the other day we were talking about Alphonso Davies and his camp are blaming Jesse Marsh, and he shouldn't have played. And then there was like a bit of a lull, and okay, you're following Alphonso Davies, maybe he speaks to the public a little bit, but there was nothing else. Like, you're there waiting to see, okay, did they make up? Did they kiss? What happened? And then now he's invited into camp. It just feels a bit like we're missing some of the steps that should be known. Because the second it went public, the second it was they're going to get sued, or the Federation is going to get sued, then after that it should have been an apology or some remorse. And the fact that that wasn't there, it leaves us hanging.
I just want to say, my expectation isn't for Alphonso Davies to play any kind of role this summer.
No.
I want him to get fit. I want him to get healthy. I want him to try to maximize from that. But unfortunately, I think that's opened up the door. If he doesn't do anything, the expectations, the sentiment will be, well, why isn't he? And I don't think that that's necessarily fair on the player right now. Just want to say there's lots of great Canadian soccer content producers out there. Go on and support them, because it's going to be a very busy summer. The women are in action upcoming against Haiti, and the Canadian Shield, June 7th, June 10th, right here on One Soccer. All right, best and worst of the week is coming up next, right here on MatchNet.
Week 1, Cavalry's keeper was unreal.
A blistering shot at
Didn't matter, Forge cracked it.
and it's a perfect header!
Now it's round 2, back in the hammer. And this rivalry is always razor thin. Only 2 games ever settled by more than one. Every inch earned, every second matters. The Canadian Premier League, Forge Cavalry. Saturday on TSN and One Soccer.